Part 34. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 331. Chapter 331 Family. Zhang Lishi took a look at his mother and told Zhang Xiaoxiao, "You stay here and watch your grandma. I'll go out for a while and I'll be back soon." Zhang Lishi calculated his family's savings. Of the 10,000 yuan given by Zhang Xiaoxiao, Xiaoxiao has now bought a house and packed everything, leaving only about 1,000 yuan. The couple saved more than 2,000 yuan, which was not enough for the surgery. Although his eldest brother said he was going back to raise money, he had a feeling that the money wouldn't be available for a while after he went back. He couldn't put his eldest brother in such trouble, otherwise his mother wouldn't be able to do the surgery. You know how long it will last. You can only advance the money first. But this money is not enough, so I can only use the money from the sale of the small gold bar. The money originally planned to be given to my son and daughter can only be advanced first, and wait until they make money in the future. There is no other way. With the current situation at home, we can only take care of the old lady first. Song Moding has already come in from outside. As soon as he heard that he was going to have an operation, Song Moding went out quietly alone. Of course he knew that the operation would definitely require a lot of money. My father-in-law and mother-in-law are all hard-working ordinary workers. Letting them come out with a sum of money is really life-threatening. No matter what he and the young couple said, they still earned a lot of ginseng money when they were in the forest farm. He left this money here and watched the father-in-law and mother-in-law anxious here. He was not that kind of person. Although Xiaoxiao didn't say it, he knew that Xiaoxiao would definitely do it. Instead of making his wife anxious, he might as well do it himself in advance. I went to an outside bank and directly withdrew 10,000 yuan. I guess it was almost enough. If it was not enough, I would withdraw it later. Thanks to them for bringing the money back, otherwise I would really have been blinded. I just deposited it, and now I immediately withdraw it. Hurry, he took the money and returned to the ward, putting the money in the hands of his father-in-law. Zhang Lishi wants to say, how can he use the money of his daughter and son-in-law? This makes no sense in the world. But Song Moding stopped him. Dad, we are a family, and my little grandma is also my grandma. Due to emotions and reasons, we should all do our best to help with this matter. Dad, don't be polite to us. I am your son-in-law. Everyone, after talking about a son-in-law, please let us do your best. Zhang Lishi nodded seriously. Look, this is the difference between people. Look at his eldest brother and sister-in-law, and then look at his daughter and son-in-law. The son-in-law was afraid that he would be in trouble, so he didn't even discuss it with him. He went out to get the money as soon as he heard what he said. How different is it from my elder brother and sister-in-law? They have been gone for a long time and there is no news at all. And when I heard about money, my first reaction was chilling. No one saw tears in the eyes of the old lady lying on the hospital bed. The old lady already knew these things as soon as she woke up. Just by listening to what her son and granddaughter said in the ward, she knew that she, an immortal, would actually have to get sick and have to go to the hospital for surgery when she is old. With so much money to be spent all at once, how could the old lady not know how much this money costs to ordinary people like her? As an old lady, I am not a factory employee, so it would be a joke to ask for reimbursement. There was no news from the eldest son as soon as he left. The second son was here and the whole family was anxious. The grandson-in-law said that he would use the money to perform surgery on her. The old lady felt regretful in her heart, wondering what she had done in the first place. If you weren't so biased, how could you have spoiled your eldest son like this? If he could keep his bowl of water flat, his eldest son could become this virtuous man. The son he loved so much would end up turning into a white-eyed wolf. The old lady was pushed into the operating room. Fan Qiuying and Zhang Lei also arrived. After all, such a big thing happened. The neighbors at home had already informed the two of them, and Fan Qiuying was also frightened. The old lady has something happen to her at home, how can she not be frightened? Rushed to the hospital. Zhang Lishi looked at his wife and shook his head. The doctor also said that at such an old age, the risk of this operation is very high. Even if the operation is successful, he must take good care of himself in the future and cannot be angry or angry. The whole family stood guard outside the operating room. 5 hours later, the old lady was pushed out. The expression on the doctor's face seemed very relaxed. Lao Zhang finally let go. "Doctor, how are you doing?" The operation was successful, but after all, the old lady is old, and no one can say whether she can return to her original condition. You have to take good care of the old lady. Besides the cost of the surgery, the cost of the old lady's hospitalization is also quite large. Expenses. Zhang Lishi nodded, thanking his son-in-law for taking 10,000 yuan, otherwise he would have collected all the money in the family and paid it to the old lady, which might not have been enough. How long has it been? There is no trace of the eldest brother or sister-in-law. I know that these two people must be unwilling to take out the money and deliberately don't even show up. Zhang Lishi was disappointed. In the past, my elder brother was not like this. I did not expect that the younger brother, how could the elder brother go back and go back? But now is not the time to care. At this time, I have to take care of my mother first. Zhang Lishi began to make arrangements. You all go back. I can just stay here alone. There is no need for everyone to stay here. Those who should go to work should go to work, and those of you who should go back should go back. The child's mother should go back and make some food for mother, doctor. He was told that if everything goes well for 24 hours, he could eat some liquid after this 24 hours. Let's cook some millet porridge. We can't drink chicken soup now. Patients who have undergone heart disease surgery must not drink chicken soup now. Fan Qiuying couldn't bear it. His father, I should stay here. You go back and rest, and you can come over tomorrow to replace me. I'll leave the small matter of cooking millet porridge to you, and you can do it. After all, I am a mother-in-law. It is more convenient for a woman to take care of my mother-in-law. And I am a woman who is much more careful than my man. Zhang Lishi wanted to say something else. Zhang Xiaoxiao also tried to persuade him. Dad, let my mother stay here. My grandma has just been pushed out from the operating room and needs to be taken care of very carefully now. There are some things you can't think of, but my mother is much more careful than you. If you really want to do something, take this opportunity to go back to find your uncle and aunt. There are some things you just can't put off. Mom, I'll go back and cook some porridge for you. I'll bring it to you in a moment. Let's go, brother, you must have driven here to take us back. Zhang Xiaoxiao was not polite. There was nothing to be polite about. We were all part of the same family. In fact, everyone felt at ease when his mother stayed here. Of course she won't stay, mainly because she wants to go back and cook millet porridge and cook for her mother. Take this opportunity to use something from your own space. The old lady's vitality was probably severely damaged after the heart surgery. If she added a little bit of her own peach juice to the millet porridge, she would probably recover much faster. Of course, she also wanted to take the opportunity to replenish her mother's health. Taking care of patients was a heavy job, and Zhang Xiaoxiao was worried that her mother would collapse because of this. Let his father go back because he really wanted to cause trouble for his uncle and aunt. The incident this time was not caused by the uncle and the aunt. They were both well off. After the incident, they left the old lady in the hospital and ran away without a trace. How could such a good thing happen? End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 332. Chapter 332 Quarrel. Upon hearing this, Zhang Lishi understood that his daughter was right. The doctor also said that the old lady has just left the operating room and the anesthesia has not worn off yet. People can't wake up. It's useless for him to stay here. He's not as careful as his wife, and she's not as good at taking care of people. Instead of watching my mother in a daze here, it is better to do something that you should do. This time, he will never let his elder brother escape this matter so easily. There were so many times before that he could give in to his eldest brother, but this time his eldest brother went too far, and Zhang Lishi was angry. Fan Qiuying glanced at her husband's face, which was as dark as the bottom of a pot, and knew that her daughter was there to stir up trouble. But what happened today made her a little angry. Everything in the stall is handled by their family. What's the use of having this big brother except to cause trouble for their family when something happens? Fortunately, my daughter, son-in-law, and son are all very useful. If it weren't for my son-in-law, where would I have gotten the money this time? The surgery fee they collected together would not be enough to cover the old lady's hospitalization later. Of course Fan Qiuying knows how little money her family has. Sighed and sat outside looking at the old lady blankly. Zhang Xiaoxiao and the others went home directly in the car. Zhang Lei then drove his father to his uncle's house. He was fine anyway. He went with his father, so he was emboldened. Besides, he was not particularly angry. As my uncle and aunt are looking for trouble, I came here specifically to cause trouble while they are not at home. How old is this grandma? They really don't worry about anything happening to the elderly. The heart is so dark. Zhang Xiaoxiao got out of the car, sighing, and Song Moding pinched her nose. Don't sigh, why do you sigh at such a young age? Don't worry, I'm here. Zhang Xiaoxiao squeezed Song Moding's big hand and spread it open finger by finger. Comrade Song, do you think our family has a lot of troubles? Song Moding took her hand, opened the door, and then closed the courtyard door. Why do you have so many thoughts at such a young age? Let me tell you, what's the big deal? You forgot that I have a stepmother and a stepfather who doesn't want to see me. That's what a lot of trouble is. Yeah. My half-brother will always give me trouble. Compared with these things in your family, the things in our family are terrible. If you don't despise me, I'll be enjoying myself secretly, but how dare I despise you? Besides, mother-in-law and father-in-law are such good people. Song Moding really didn't feel disgusted or troubled. Who can live without encountering some troubles? Compared with those things at home, this is nothing. Zhang Xiaoxiao kissed Song Moding and said, You are so kind, brother Song. I am really touched that you brought the money today. Although I also wanted to bring the money to help my parents pay it. But I said it myself, it's a different feeling when you come out and when you take it over. It makes me feel that you really regard my parents as your parents. Brother Song, we must live a good life in the future so that our children will not encounter these best things. Song Moding's eyes were filled with warmth, and he hugged Zhang Xiaoxiao. Silly girl, your parents are my parents. My biological mother is gone, and my biological father is the same as my stepfather. I regard your parents as my parents, and we will be filial to them from now on. Live a good life and have a lot of children so that they can live happily. Our family will definitely not have those troublesome relatives. Besides, even if your parents are partial, they will definitely be partial to you. It's not too late for me to be happy. According to what the father-in-law and mother-in-law do, it is really true. Zhang Xiaoxiao thought it was true. In this family, her parents only favored her, but they never favored anyone else. Thinking of this, I laughed out loud. Song Moding felt relieved when he saw his daughter-in-law finally smiling. Zhang Lishi and Zhang Lei arrived at Zhang Lokeng's dormitory area. The van parked directly outside the yard of Zhang Lokeng's home, the dormitory where his family lived. However, this dormitory was all bungalows, a whole row of bungalows. At this time, It was already time for dinner, and every household had returned. The sound of the van driving in immediately attracted the surrounding neighbors. Anyway, it was time to eat. Upon hearing this sound, someone came out to watch the fun. Many of the neighbors next door know Zhanglashi. After all, Zhanglashi comes to see his mother every New Year and festival. Everyone knows everyone since they have seen each other often. Besides, who doesn't know that the old lady has a filial son? As soon as he saw Zhanglashi, someone had already said hello. Ouch, Mr. Zhang, are you here to see your mother? Why come to see your mother at this time of the year and still have nothing to show for it? Those who say this are deliberately stirring up trouble. Zhanglashi's face was grave. He was here to trouble his eldest brother, but he didn't want to deliberately embarrass him. There are some things that you don't want to do too much. Uncle, great aunt. As soon as Zhanglai looked at his father's face, he knew he was on the verge of exploding. These neighbors really like to watch the excitement all day long when they have nothing to do. Zhang Lokeng and Feng Gihua went home and spent a long time together. No matter how little money they had in their passbooks, they couldn't come up with the 2,500. There is about 1,200 yuan in the bank book, and they need to borrow 1,300 yuan. The question is where to borrow money. I am surrounded by old colleagues. It is easy to borrow money but not easy to pay back. Their couple's retirement salary together is only about 50 yuan. How many years will it take to pay off the debt if you don't eat or drink for a year? My eldest son has just gotten married, and my daughter-in-law has given birth to a grandson, who is only a few months old. The eldest son works in the factory instead, but the little money he earns cannot even support his small family, let alone subsidize them. The remaining 3 children are still in school, and the second son is of that virtue. They dare not borrow it. Feng Gihua gives advice to his man. I saw that the operation can't be postponed. If we don't send money, the second brother can't do anything. When the time comes, the second brother will definitely borrow money to advance the money. As long as he advances the money, we don't care what is said and how to get it. If we don't come up with this money, is it possible that the second brother will force us to death? You know nothing. Didn't you see that the second child is so anxious today? It's not like you don't know the temper of the second child. Even though he is honest, if he gets wild, no one can stop him. If he really wants to, I went to the boss's factory and sat down with the leader in the factory office. You said that if the leader didn't show up, do you want the boss to lose his job? Feng Gihua shook his face. Can you blame me for this? Even if you lose your job, it's not all your fault. You said fine, why are you leaving? Why are you leaving in such a hurry? Take the old lady away all at once. Fell down, otherwise the old lady may have a heart attack. Okay, don't say such things. I regret it very much myself. At this time, I still have to borrow money. Let me tell you, if the really gets up, no one can stop it. You don't know, when you got married, the second child didn't do any tricks. But, when you were not married, someone bullied me. My second brother smashed his head with a brick and made it bleed. Later, everyone avoided him when they saw him. When talking about this, Zhang Lokeng still had lingering fears. My brother knows it himself, so don't push him too hard. Even if the King of Heaven and I are pressed, I can't do it. He knew that he had done something wrong this time, and he should never have done this to his wife. He also felt a little regretful. It's not like he doesn't know what his mother is doing to him. He is also a human being in terms of emotion and reason. He felt guilty if he didn't take out the money. No one is born unfilial. Feng Gihua quits. I tell you, Zhang Lokeng, don't act like a hero here. I tell you, you don't know what's going on at home. The second child is not married yet, the third and fourth children are still in school, and money is needed for everything at home. If I'm in debt. I'm telling you, I won't be able to survive this life. Zhang Lokeng glared, why can't you live with it? Do you still want to divorce me? No matter how old you are, this is what you said. The couple closed the door and were making a lively noise at home. This was all the afternoon, and there was no result. No, Zhang Lei's voice was heard outside. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 333. Chapter 333 I disagree. Zhang Lokeng was startled and paused. Feng Gihua also remained silent. Zhang Lokeng sighed. It is a blessing, not a disaster, but a disaster that cannot be avoided. It seems that the second son sent his son to ask for money. No matter how you put it, due to emotions and reasons, it's your mother's responsibility, and you have to take care of it, even if you can't raise that much money. The second child will not argue with him so clearly, but if he does not spend a penny, he, as his son, will not feel sorry for himself. Is that still a human being? Although his mother used him to be lawless, he also knew what filial piety should be. He is not a human being. Zhang Lokeng was going to open the door. He was stopped by Feng Gihua. Don't open it, let him knock on the door for a while, and then leave thinking no one is home. Zhang Lokeng's face turned dark. He, an old woman, just couldn't carry it. These things can be heard by the neighbors outside. If Zhang Lei keeps shouting and knocking on the door, all the neighbors will come out by then. People heard about it when I asked. Many people saw them when they came back. Whether they, the couple, are going to go out tomorrow, and whether the children at home are still alive. The spine was about to be stabbed. My mother was lying in the hospital, and the whole family quietly pretended to be deaf and mute. This is something people do. We are all living beings and must abide by the minimum social moral bottom line, no matter who we are. Shoot Feng Gihua away and open the door. Zhang Lei, you're here, Lao Er, you're here too. Welcome with a smile. When he saw his younger brother, Zhang Lokeng suddenly lost his temper. He really didn't expect that his younger brother would come to the door in person this time. Still a little guilty. Brother and sister-in-law, you are at home, why don't you open the door? Zhang Lishi was furious. Zhang Lei glanced at his uncle meaningfully. He knows very well who the uncle is. No one in their family knows. A person who has been there for decades. As soon as the courtyard door was closed, it blocked the eyes of people watching the excitement outside. Zhang Lokeng didn't say anything. No matter what, it was all his own fault. Could it be that he told his second son that his woman was blocking him from going out to lend money to his mother for medical treatment? Placing the responsibility on an old woman, he doesn't have the face to do so. Come in and sit down. Zhang Lokeng entered the house. Zhang Lishi and Zhang Lei also went in. The whole room was silent. Zhang Lishi felt more and more angry the longer he sat there. Brother, you are pretending to be deaf and dumb. It's not like I don't know why I came up. Just as he was about to open his mouth, Feng Gihua spoke. Second brother, your eldest brother and I didn't open the door in the house because the two of us went out to borrow a lot of money and couldn't borrow it at all. There is only such a small amount of money in the bank book. Your eldest brother is worried over there. He is just thinking about it. Where can I borrow money? Zhang Lishi took a look at the bank book on the table. It seemed that it was true. The eldest brother should be thinking of a solution. Haven't shirked responsibility yet. The anger in his heart finally subsided a little. As long as the eldest brother found a way and did not try to escape this responsibility, he felt that he could forgive his eldest brother. They are two brothers, there is something they cannot say. Second brother, how is our mother doing now? Zhang Ken has not completely wiped out his conscience after all, and still thinks about his mother. After a 5-hour operation, she just came out. The doctor said that my mother's operation was well done. Now she needs to be observed for 24 hours. If there are no complications within 24 hours, she can basically be transferred to a regular surgery. Went to the ward. Zhang Ken breathed a sigh of relief. It's okay. When Feng Gihua heard this, his eyes rolled and he listened obediently. Of course he could tell that the second child must have paid the surgery fee, otherwise the hospital wouldn't be able to perform the surgery. Second brother, this happened thanks to you. It's not that your eldest brother and sister-in-law didn't help. Look at this big family, your eldest brother has a total of 1,200 yuan in his hand. We need money everywhere in the family, and there is nothing we can do. You are still capable, second brother. Without you, our mother would be in danger today. Auntie, please don't say anything so obedient. My dad has made it clear about this incident. It has something to do with my uncle and aunt. Originally, this money has been allocated to our family. You shouldn't have to pay even a penny, but now my dad has agreed to pay half, which is already worthy of you. Uncle, I hope you can give us the 2,500 yuan as soon as possible. The hospital said that grandma will need a lot of money for follow-up treatment. This 2,500 yuan is not the end at all. There are still many places to spend money later. Don't put my dad in trouble with me either. Our family was also borrowed from a peddler, so you wouldn't force my parents to death, would you? Zhang Lei is afraid that his father will give in. He knew that his family had spent a lot of money today, and he also knew that his family had no foundation at all. His parents only had 2,000 or 3,000 yuan at most, and that was saved for his sister. Now that we need to spend so much money all at once, our family will definitely not be able to afford it. He has asked his friends to inquire today. Although he just bought the van, if he resells it, he may not be able to get the original price. However, if you can help your parents solve some problems, you can't let grandma be unable to receive treatment in the hospital. He also knew that now that the uncle and aunt could do their part, they must be allowed to do their part. There is no reason why their whole family would go bankrupt while they stood idly by. Filling holes is not this method either. Feng Gihua scolded unhappily, Zhang Lei, you kid, your dad and your uncle are both here, so how can you say anything? Besides, your uncle is not willing to pay for it himself. It's true I can't take it out. Can't our family go bankrupt and spend all our money, so that several children in the family starve to death? Zhang Lishi smiled. Hold Zhang Lei. Brother, our family has gone bankrupt now. You mean it's your own fault? Our family has gone bankrupt to help you fix the hole. Are we still at fault? How come our children don't need to eat and are all waiting to starve to death? Just as the people in your family are human beings, aren't the people in our family human beings? Brother, what is my sister-in-law saying? After all, she is an outsider and cannot do her best for our mother. I understand. After all, we were not raised by our mother, but you and I were raised by our mother. What if you just give me an accurate answer today? Zhang Ken gritted his teeth and said, Second brother, don't worry, I know how to do it. The money in the bank book is late today. I will take it out to you early tomorrow morning. I will borrow money early tomorrow morning. Your elder brother has not lost his conscience yet to that extent, that's our mother. Feng Gihua quit when he heard this. It was clear that the second brother had already paid for it, and now he was forcing his family to borrow foreign debts after losing everything. What was this? No, Zhang Ken, let me tell you, I don't agree with this matter. The second brother has settled the matter now, why should our family also go bankrupt? One of the two families must be saved. Second brother, since you have already been a good person, then you will be a good person to the end. Why force your eldest brother to borrow foreign debt now? You don't need to repay this foreign debt. Zhang Lokang, let me tell you, if you dare to make such a private decision, go out and borrow money. Our days are over. Don't think that I don't dare to divorce you at such an old age. I tell you that if you get divorced, your son will definitely come with me. By then, we won't be members of your Lao Zhang family. Feng Gihua said this to Zhang Lishi. If he forces his brother and sister-in-law to divorce in the end, let's see if Zhang Lishi can live with his own conscience. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 334. Chapter 334, Let your eldest brother be an upright man for a time. How old are you? You still talk about divorce when we have a quarrel. What's wrong with divorce? That's my mother. Even if it's a divorce, I still have to take care of my mother. Zhang Lokang was furious. In the past, he listened to his wife in everything and followed her in everything. But with the life he has lived so far, can he still see what good results can come from following his wife? Son, the son is so spoiled, the daughter is like a mouse seeing a cat, both of them hide when they see it. This family has been in a bad state for a long time, and even when they are old, they even ask for divorce. Feng Gihua just felt that he was in trouble. If this matter were left to Feng Gihua's family, Feng Gihua would definitely send the money there even if it meant borrowing foreign debt. But when it comes to my own mother, take a look at Feng Gihua's virtue. In the past, he and Feng Gihua were of the same mind, thinking that he had the second child anyway, but what does this matter have to do with the second child? Why do you let the second person pay so much money? Moreover, he saw selfishness in Feng Gihua, which made him feel scared and chilled. In the past, it only involved the children and the interests between him and the second child. He felt that Feng Gihua was helping him and fighting for the interests of their family, so he didn't say anything. He also felt that the husband and wife were of the same mind. But this time, it's my mother. If he doesn't even care about his mother, who has favored him for so many years. It doesn't matter if it's chilling or not, if you put it on him, he will be chilled too. He is still a human being. Zhang Lokang couldn't stand by and have someone poke his spine. Feng Gihua said angrily, Zhang Lokang, okay, don't regret it. If we get divorced, we'll get divorced. What can I do if I marry a useless man like you? Do I need money? What's the use of you? You want to be filial, but if you hadn't been my mother for so many years, hold it here. This family has long been unable to survive. Who am I working hard for, day and night, but not for this family, for you, and for the children. It's a good thing now, you opened your mouth and actually said something wrong about me. You want to be filial and be a filial son, right? Well, go and be filial, use your own money to be filial. The money in this passbook was saved by my mother. Even if I tell you to get divorced, don't even think about taking it from me. This is unreasonable. Some people are like this, so selfish that they only care about themselves and don't care whether others live or die. Feng Gihua is such a person. Feng Gihua put the bank book into her pocket at once. She couldn't throw away the money she had worked so hard to save in vain. Zhang Lokang glared angrily. Take it out for me. You didn't save that money, I earned it. Pounce and grab. Feng Gihua dodged left and right, then stretched out his hand and scratched Zhang Lokang several times. Zhang Lokang was unprepared. His neck and face were scratched and there was blood all of a sudden. There was burning pain everywhere, and Zhang Lokang was also filled with shame and anger. The younger brother and nephew are watching here, and this woman doesn't give him any face. Zhang Lokang was so angry that he slapped Feng Gihua on the face. The atmosphere in the room suddenly became stagnant. For so many years, Feng Gihua was married to Zhang Lokang, and Zhang Lokang never touched a finger on her. Unexpectedly, Zhang Loken was stunned by the fact that he would beat his wife because of this incident this time. Feng Guihua was also stunned, but Feng Guihua was in a daze for only 2 seconds. He immediately reacted and jumped forward with a roar. Scratch, scratch, and bite. Okay, you Zhang Loken, you still hit me now, you still want to hit me, I tell you, no way, if you hit my mother, the divorce is finalized. I can still live my life without you, but you can live without me, Zhang, go ahead and eat shit. Zhang Loken also knew that it was wrong for him to hit a woman, so he didn't dare to fight back at the moment, but he was so tickled by his wife that he stepped back repeatedly. In the end, Zhang Lishi couldn't stand it anymore, so he went up and pushed his sister-in-law aside, blocking him in front of his eldest brother. Okay, have you made enough noise? You are making such a fuss and don't want outsiders to laugh at you. Feng Guihua's hair was disheveled and he pushed his hair back. Have you had enough trouble? I tell you, not enough. I will put this here today, Zhang Loken wants to divorce you. He turned around and walked out the door. Zhang Loken sat down on the ground. This family seemed to be about to break up. He really didn't expect that this time things would actually get into such an uncontrollable situation. Zhang Lishi reluctantly pulled his eldest brother up. Brother, get up. I didn't expect what happened this time to turn out like this. I originally thought it was a very simple matter. Our mother was hospitalized for surgery. Even if it was because of you, I never thought of letting you bear it alone. Just thinking that my mother only has 2 sons, and we brothers should share these things. How could I have imagined that my sister-in-law would be so messy and arrogant? I am the one who has caused you trouble this time. Zhang Lishi felt uncomfortable. He didn't want to deal with the destruction of his eldest brother's family and his wife and children. Make this home look like this. Whoever thinks of my sister-in-law is really a shrew. Zhang Loken raised his head blankly and looked at his brother. Then he shook his head and said, this is not your fault at all. In fact, it is my fault. I have spoiled your sister-in-law and encouraged her evil habits. In these years, I, like your sister-in-law, have always wanted to take advantage of you. She always wants to get you to pay a little more for a cheap price, so she has grown up her heart and become wild. In the end, when it came to our mother's affairs, she was so indifferent. Isn't it because she felt that at such an age, I was going to get divorced? How could a decent person like me have the nerve to go through such trouble? In the end, I had to compromise. Your younger brother, if your eldest brother's wife is separated and the family is destroyed because of this matter, you must be feeling sorry for yourself, because your sister-in-law thinks she can capture us 2 brothers. He knows his wife very well. It is impossible to say that Feng Guihua does not want to be with him. After all, they are still a couple who have been together for decades, and their children are all grown up. Even if Feng Guihua divorces him now, is it possible that he can still find someone else? To put it bluntly, he is just using this matter to blackmail the 2 brothers. Knowing that both brothers would compromise, Zhang Lishi sighed. The fact that the eldest brother could say these words proved that the eldest brother had really thought about it. But seriously, this sister-in-law really has control over them. He can't really force the eldest brother and sister-in-law to divorce. Brother, don't talk about this. I'll pay for it. You and your sister-in-law can live a good life. Zhang Lishi's words made Zhang Lei anxious. His father did this again and again. This time, because of my aunt, I compromised again. Zhang Loken shook his head and raised his head sharply. Brother, your eldest brother has been sorry for you in this life. When your eldest brother was bullied when he was young, you always stood up to protect me. Now it's better. After so many years, I have caused you a lot of trouble after marrying my wife. Don't take advantage of you. My mother also favors me. In fact, it is you who has always been wronged. At this moment, I am at this age, if I can't see through these things, am I still a human being? You don't need to worry about your sister-in-law. She loves her and won't leave her. If she wants a divorce, then divorce her. I will definitely borrow this money, and I will definitely make up for it to my mother. Don't say anything else, and let your brother be an upright human being. Jang Lokeng had the confidence to say these words for the first time, and suddenly felt relieved. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 335. Chapter 335. No distinction between right and wrong. Zhang Lishi went back. He feels heavy. Zhang Lei drove silently along the way. He really didn't know that his uncle actually had such a side. Such a fresh start. This is the first time I've seen him in so many years. It would be strange if your heart is not filled with emotion. The uncle he saw today made him finally realize that this was his uncle and his relative. In the past, his uncle and aunt were vampires in his eyes, and he would come to their house to take advantage of them all day long. But today's uncle finally made him understand that he is still a man and a human being. Zhang Lokeng really didn't delay. This time he was determined to get it done. That night, after cleaning up his face, he didn't feel embarrassed, so he went straight out and went door to door to find his old colleagues to borrow money. Not to mention that the couple had a good reputation and credibility in the factory over the years. Not bad, when it comes to borrowing money, everyone also borrows it. Once I heard that he was borrowing money for my mother, I felt that I had to help him a little bit. No more and no less. So, I borrowed, and I actually borrowed 2,000 yuan this night. When he returned home, his eldest son and daughter-in-law saw his face and knew in their hearts that this must be a fight between mother-in-law and father-in-law. You can see the blood on his face, it was scratched by his fingers. Zhang Lokeng was a little embarrassed and couldn't help but hide in the house. However, the eldest son came in to persuade her. After all, his mother was not at home and he had no choice but to go back to his parents' home. Dad, if anything happens, please tell Mom, or else I'll go get Mom back. Zhang Lokeng shook his head. No, your mother has to reflect and reflect. Over the years, your mother has been used to being domineering in our family. She has the final say in everything she is used to. But in the end, some things have to be decided by who is right and who is wrong. You can't. Your mother is wrong, and we continue to act like this, which is not good for your mother. After telling what happened today, the son lowered his head silently. No matter what happened, their family didn't care. His mother is really messing around this time. Although the things his mother does on a daily basis are all to protect the family, people still have conscience and morality after all. How could they not know who their grandma was? She protected their family and favored them in every aspect. In the past, they took many things for granted, but since he married his daughter-in-law and compared them with his daughter-in-law's family, he certainly knew that they had done many things wrong. Second uncle doesn't owe their family anything. This time grandma was hospitalized, and it was because of her father. Reasonably and logically, they should come forward and do a good job in this matter. Now his mother is acting recklessly and is threatening her father with divorce. The eldest son sighed. Dad, I understand what you mean. I'll go to grandma's house to persuade Mom to go. As long as she wants to be free, she can get through anything. I know you still have some money to pay for hospitalization at grandma's house. I'll borrow some money tomorrow. Make up the rest. This matter is our fault, and we can't bring trouble to my second uncle's family anymore. Zhang Lokeng felt comforted in his heart. There was still a sensible son in his family. His son's words made him feel very comforted. At least my wife has not raised all the children crookedly. If the eldest child is like the second child, he does not do good things all day long. Then what energy does he have to live in this life? The next day, Zhang Hickson rode his bicycle to see Feng Gihua. Grandma has no one at home, so Feng Gihua is alone at home. Grandma actually passed away a few years ago, and now this is my uncle's house. Feng Gihua was sitting alone in the room. I haven't had breakfast. When I came back yesterday, although my brother didn't say anything, my sister-in-law's nose was not a nose and her face was not a face. Of course she knew that both her parents were dead. This family is not called my natal family now. The elder brother can tolerate her, but the sister-in-law cannot tolerate her. Besides, the relationship between her and her sister-in-law is not that good. Now that she comes back by herself, it's like eating free rice. It's strange that her sister-in-law can give her a good look. Feng Gihua slept on the sofa in the living room last night. Myself. There is a large family living in this house, and it is indeed inconvenient to come back alone. She was also reluctant, but no matter how reluctant she was, Feng Gihua didn't want to bow her head. If he lowers his head this time, Mr. Zhang will really give away such a large sum of money. What will happen to the family then? If they borrow a large foreign debt, what will they be able to repay it with? How will the son get married and what will happen to the daughter? She felt that she had done nothing wrong. Hearing someone knocking on the door, he opened the door and saw that it was his eldest son. Feng Gihua glanced at his son. He didn't see Zhang Luqian behind him, and couldn't help but feel bad. Of course she knew that her man was really angry this time and could slap her, which showed that he was really angry in his heart. But it was also the first time that her man did not bow to her, which made her feel surprised. Is it true that you are not afraid of getting divorced? I feel a little guilty and panicked. No matter how bad Zhang Luqian is, he is good to his own mother. Where is your dad? Why are you here alone? Feng Gihua was not as good to his eldest son as his younger son. The eldest son used to be dull in the past, but he was not as eloquent as the second son, which was rare for him. Mom, should you go back? Dad went to the hospital to see Grandma. You and I can go back. My uncle's house is not spacious. If you have anything to say, go back and talk to my dad. If there is anything you can't talk about, let's talk about it again this time. You don't make sense. Zhang Hickson is very vocal and lively. Feng Gihua was furious when he heard this. My own son came to my door and scolded me. What did you say? Your father asked you to come? I tell you, go back and tell your father that if he dares to borrow money, I will divorce him. Don't think I am joking, and you? What are you thinking about all day long? Your mother and I were wronged, and you still helped your father. How could I support such a white-eyed wolf like you? Over the years, how much your mother has paid for our family, I have been so fussy and stingy all day long. Who is this for? It's not all for you. Otherwise, how would you get married? What do you want to take as a wife? It's great now, my wife is married, so why am I useless? So you come here to scold your mother. Let me tell you, it's not your turn to take charge of the family now, unless your dad and I divorce. The scolding made Zhang Hickson blush all of a sudden. Mom, you can say whatever you want to me, but I really can't let you have it this time. My dad did the right thing. Although it was wrong for my dad to hit you, I stand on my side for what happened this time. Dad's side. This is something our family did wrong. It was because of my father that Grandma was admitted to the hospital. No matter what, we should have paid for it. In the end, you can turn around. Put all this on the second uncle, because the second uncle doesn't owe our family anything. You can make up your own mind. If you really don't want to go back, just stay here. Then I'll leave. Zhang Hickson was also angry. My mother likes my younger brother but doesn't like myself, but people have to be reasonable in their actions. How can anyone talk about his son so openly? And he said it so unpleasantly. Feng Gihua was dumbfounded when he heard this. The eldest has always been honest, and has always been obedient and respectful to his parents. They never need to worry about doing things. But this is the first time that the boss has spoken to himself like this, expressing his strong dissatisfaction with himself. Just when I was about to chase him out, my eldest son had already disappeared without a trace. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 336. Chapter 336 The Caring Son. Feng Gihua felt uneasy. Look at this. My man doesn't want to bow his head. I thought I sent the boss here to say good things, but I never expected that the boss came with such a tough attitude. What's going on? Is it possible that Zhang Luokeng really wants to divorce himself? Feng Gihua was restless. She has no confidence. Are you really getting divorced at such an old age? Feng Gihua doesn't know how to do it. At noon, I really couldn't sit still. Getting up and going to the outside door, he returned to his own door, but he didn't want to go in. After looking around for a long time, there was no movement in the yard. She was afraid of bumping into Zhang Luokeng, and she wouldn't even have a step up by then. You don't need to guess to know that Zhang Luokeng will definitely stay in the hospital for a whole day when he goes to the hospital today, and he probably won't come back. Push the door open and go in. What is she afraid of in her own home? Mom. A voice made Feng Gihua almost fall down. Shocked. Zhang Xiang wanted to go to the kitchen to find something to eat. He didn't eat breakfast or lunch. If he didn't find something to eat, he would starve to death. Yesterday, he knew that his parents were quarreling and his mother returned to her parents' home. Whether we quarreled or not was none of his business, he didn't even ask. But if his mother returns to her parents' home, the most inconvenient thing for him is that he has no place to ask for money. On weekdays, I can always ask my mother for pocket money, so I can go out and fool around. In the morning, he asked his eldest brother to test it out, but his eldest brother didn't give him a good look and went out directly. He doesn't have the guts to ask his dad for it. If his dad doesn't beat him, that's good. As soon as I saw my mother when I went out, I felt happy immediately. Feng Gihua breathed a sigh of relief when he saw his son. Mom, where have you been? My son wants to kill you. He hasn't seen you all day and night. Look, I have lost weight now. Zhang Xiang's best skill is his words. Feng Gihua felt soft in her heart. She loved her son the most, otherwise she wouldn't be able to be like this. There is no one at home, are you alone? Zhang Xiang nodded. Mom, don't worry, there's no one at home, it's just me. Come in quickly. I haven't eaten yet. Please cook me some food quickly, otherwise I'll really starve to death. I didn't have any food last night. Have a meal. Feng Gihua hurried in and made something simple to eat. She didn't want to do anything complicated. Otherwise, when her husband and her eldest son came back, they would know that she had come back, scrambled an egg, and heated it up for her son. A few steamed buns and some noodle soup. Mom, you are still kind to me. You see, I can still have a hot meal at home, but you are not at home. What do you think your son is like? What on earth are you arguing with my father? Why did I hear my eldest brother and my dad said you are asking for a divorce? How old are you and are you still asking for a divorce? Zhang Xiang ate the food with big mouthfuls, feeling that he had finally regained his breath. Hey, it's not your dad yet. Your grandma is sick and hospitalized, and your second uncle insists on making trouble for half of the family. Our family doesn't have that much money at all. We only have more than 1,000 yuan in our bank book, and your dad insists on going out to borrow it. Money. Think about it, if you borrow such a huge debt, who will pay it back? It will be difficult for your father and I to support you all with the little money you have. If all of it is used to pay off the debt, you will have nothing to eat or drink. No, I didn't agree, so your dad beat me, so I divorced your dad. Feng Gihua would tell his second son whatever was on his mind. Zhang Xiang refused to listen. Mom, you are doing the right thing and I support you. My father is a stubborn person. Since my second uncle can come up with that money, why should we give it to him? We also lend them foreign debts. Why? My grandma has been living with us all these years, eating and drinking from us. It's just a small amount of medical expenses. What's wrong with the second uncle? It's his turn. The law does not stipulate that the elderly must live with the boss. I think you have spoiled me by my dad. You must take a firm stand this time. My dad wants a divorce. You would rather get a divorce than let go. If you really get divorced, I will deal with it with you. Don't worry, I will provide for you in the future. Feng Gihua looked at his son with kind eyes. The child's pain was not in vain. I know that the person who understands you best is you. What does your father know with his stubbornness? Don't worry, my mother will save all this money for you. Otherwise, what will you use for your future marriage? If your father doesn't do it this time, listen to me, then you will get divorced, and then mom will take you out. Mom, the monthly retirement salary is more than 20 yuan, which is enough for us to live on. Zhang Xiang was moved when he heard this. He heard it clearly just now. The passbook in his mother's hand contains more than 1,000 yuan, plus his mother's monthly retirement salary. If his parents are really divorced and he goes out with his mother, then the money is not all his own money. As long as he plays coquettishly with his mother, it is not easy to do, but if he stays at home, it will cost more for his younger brothers and sisters. Leave it to yourself, that's a lot. In this way, he is actually the biggest beneficiary of his parents' divorce. Mom, it's true for my dad. You have been working with my dad for so many years without any credit or hard work. How can my dad do something to you? If this man hits a woman, he is not a man. Besides, you are doing this for this. Everything we do is for the sake of our family. My dad is still angry with you because of this. My dad is really not a man. Don't worry, after you and my dad divorce, I will live with you. We two are of the same mind. Feng Gihua smiled and said, you silly kid, I'm just trying to scare your dad. How can we get divorced? How old is mom, and she still divorces your dad? After the divorce, do you think I can live with you too? Go ahead. Does mom leave your younger brothers and sisters alone? They are not adults yet. Zhang Xiang felt disdainful, knowing that his mother did not love him wholeheartedly, and was still thinking of other people. Mom, I think you should really divorce my dad. Think about it for yourself. If my dad goes all the way this time and borrows a lot of foreign debt, he will have to borrow a lot of money. If you get divorced, the little money you have in your hand will have to be taken out sooner or later. You can't just watch the door being blocked by debtors. When it comes to repaying the money, you and my dad are not allowed to pay it back together. With you and my dad together, how could my second uncle help us find a solution? But if you divorce my dad, you hold this money in your hand and refuse to give it to my dad. There is nothing my dad can do against you. When the time comes, my second uncle will have to support his remaining brothers and sisters, so he will probably be arrogant. Have you ever wondered whether this is the case? Wait for my second uncle to let this matter go, and in a year and a half, you can soften my father's mind and remarry. We don't have to pay back the money, and the matter has been resolved. Do you think this is the case? Zhang Xiang came up with the idea. When Feng Gihua heard this, he couldn't help but nodded repeatedly. His son was right. If he gave up halfway, he would return to this home. Zhang Loken was as energetic as yesterday. He really knew how to borrow a bunch of foreign debt. When the time comes to pay back the money, they are not allowed to pay it back. How could the second child's family wipe out the money? But what if I really divorced my boss? The second child can't just watch his eldest brother get divorced and have no money to support his own children. By then, the money will really be gone. At Zhang Lokeng's age, he still has children and a daughter to take care of, so it's impossible for any woman to fall in love with him. At that time, you must not obediently remarry yourself. This matter can't be solved if it's so simple. She doesn't suffer. You kid, you're better off with your brains. You have a good idea. Mom listens to you. When your dad comes back, I will divorce him immediately. Then I will take you out to live. Let's rent a house and settle down for the time being. Last year and a half. When the matter with your second uncle and your grandma is over, I will remarry your father. Zhang Xiong was happy. Mom, that's right. You heard me right. I'll find a house for us when I go out in a while. Let's find a bungalow first. It'll be enough for the two of us. Remember, you can bite this passbook to your death. I can't give the money to my dad. Feng Gihua felt that his second son was more considerate. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 337. Chapter 337 Critical Illness Notification. Zhang Lokeng is in the hospital right now. The old lady issued a critical illness notice last night. Zhang Xiaoxiao and the others rushed there overnight. After all, the old lady was old. After the operation, complications really occurred. Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at the situation and knew that the old lady was probably in trouble. Doctors and nurses are busy coming in and out. She quietly went to the doctor and wanted to go in to see her grandma, but the doctor initially disagreed. But seeing that the old lady was in critical condition, if the family members were not allowed in, if something happened, they might not even be able to give her last words, so the whole family changed into sterile clothes and entered the intensive care unit. Zhang Lokeng regretted it. The old lady had already lost her mind. The doctor only let 3 people in, so Zhang Lishi, Zhang Lokeng, and Zhang Xiaoxiao went in. Everyone else is outside. Zhang Xiaoxiao saw that there was nothing he could do. The old lady had a heart surgery and there were complications. In fact, the situation was quite critical. Even if she was a doctor, there was still no way to reverse the science. The only way to reverse science is the peach juice in his hand, but with so many people here, even if Zhang Xiaoxiao wants to do something, he can't. After persuading him for a long time, he finally persuaded his father and uncle to go out, but there were still so many pairs of eyes staring at him in the intensive care unit. Fortunately, the nurse solved this problem for her. She was given a task to moisten the old lady's lips with a cotton swab dipped in water. The main thing was that the old lady had already seen that 24 hours had almost passed, and no drop of water had come in. As time went on, the old lady couldn't bear it. Zhang Xiaoxiao saw this and saw that this was an opportunity. He took the opportunity to drip the peach juice onto the cotton swab. Then the old lady put it on her lips and seeped it in bit by bit. It doesn't penetrate much, but every little bit counts. Looking at the pale and haggard grandma, Zhang Xiaoxiao hoped that her peach juice would be useful at this moment, although she knew that a whole peach juice would definitely not be put in, and there was no chance. But you can put as much as you can. Having a glimmer of hope is better than no hope at all. Your own peach juice is trustworthy. Song Moding was anxious outside. He knew in his heart that Zhang Xiaoxiao must be trying to do something inside. Although he didn't know what Zhang Xiaoxiao could do, he had to do something to provide Zhang Xiaoxiao with a cover. So Song Moding deliberately asked Zhang Lishi and Zhang Lokeng about their old lady's condition outside, and encouraged them to go to the doctor to ask more details. After all, the old lady is so old, and if she doesn't ask in detail, if there is any accident, they won't even have time to prepare. Zhang Lishi and Zhang Lokeng were anxious when they heard this. And what my son-in-law said is right, it's better to make plans early. So several adults went to the infirmary to find a doctor. The family members outside the intensive care unit suddenly emptied out. 2 hours later, the doctor came for rounds. The doctors were shocked when they saw all the data on the old lady's machine in the intensive care unit. Why did the old lady turn her back on herself in an instant? It was too fast. I took a look at the liquid that the old lady was given. This liquid was also a normal liquid. Why did it work so quickly this time? From their emergency rescue to now, it only took a total of more than 5 hours, and the old lady's condition has stabilized. All indicators have returned to normal. It was as if he had never been critically ill. Zhang Xiaoxiao came out and Song Moding supported his wife. Are you okay? Zhang Xiaoxiao shook his head. What could happen to her? Zhang Lokeng and Zhang Lokeng felt relieved now that they heard the doctor said that their mother had turned a corner. At night, the doctor happily announced to them that the old lady's condition was normal and that the old lady had woken up. According to the current situation, the old lady can be transferred to the general ward. The whole family is happy. Song Moding held Zhang Xiao's hand tightly. He knew exactly what the doctor said just now, and Zhang Xiaoxiao must have done something. It's not like I didn't know that the wound healed so quickly after I drank the peach-flavored rice porridge last time. If the tractor driver didn't know what was happening to him at the time, people would definitely be suspicious. Now the old lady must still be doing it here. Zhang Xiaoxiao. This daughter-in-law is not worried at all. But he couldn't say anything. Could it be that he asked Zhang Xiaoxiao to leave the old lady alone and watch the old lady become critically ill? You can't say this kind of thing. He felt that he would definitely suffer from a heart attack after following his wife-in-law, and his heartbeat was racing at the speed of life and death. Up and down. Zhang Xiaoxiao knew it well. He had just fed about 1/3 of the peaches to the old lady. He didn't expect that the old lady's condition would recover so quickly. Now not only has she been transferred to the general ward, but the old lady has woken up. Various examinations by the doctors and nurses showed that the old lady's vitality was recovering rapidly, and even some other organ failures that would occur after surgery for the elderly did not appear at all. Zhang Xiaoxiao was also surprised. The effects of peaches are also amazing. I have known that peaches have amazing effects before, but I didn't expect them to be so amazing. It seems that in the future, peaches should be used with caution and the amount should be controlled. However, the old lady obviously did not recover as quickly as Song Moding did last time, but it still surprised the doctor. Zhang Lishi and Zhang Lokeng finally felt relieved. My mother was out of danger, and their 2 sons felt tired. They had been guarding here all day and night, fearing that my mother would be in danger. Zhang Lishi looked at his eldest brother. Brother, you go back first, I'll guard you here. I really didn't have the nerve to talk about the money matter. Zhang Laoli knew that the sister-in-law had not come back since she returned to her parents' home. The eldest brother came here with an angry face today, and he stuffed 2,500 yuan into his hand when he came. I also knew that the money was borrowed, but in fact 2,500 yuan was not enough at all. Because today, even with rescue and treatment, the hospital paid another 3,000 yuan. But I can still ask for it from my eldest brother. The eldest brother's family is like this, and the sister-in-law is very troublesome. The eldest brother can come up with 2,500 yuan this time, which is already his best effort. Zhang Lishi didn't even think about what he would do to his eldest brother and sister-in-law all at once. After all, he is his elder brother. Zhang Lokeng shook his head and said, "You and your wife can take the children back. I'll be here to guard you. It was you and your wife who were here to guard you yesterday. It's my turn today. I've done a lot of things over the years. He doesn't even look like a big brother. You are such a bastard. This time, please let me act like a real person and be the big brother for once. With my mother like this, I won't be able to rest assured even if I go back." She can't eat or sleep, so it's better to stay here. At least mom can see me when she opens her eyes. The old lady just opened her eyes and glanced at them. The doctor said the old lady should wake up soon. Zhang honestly thought about it and said, "Okay, big brother, then you stay here tonight and I'll go back and wait until it's daytime before I come back. I'll ask Xiuying to bring you food later." The old lady cannot live without people around her. He and his eldest brother have to take turns after all. In this case, don't be so polite. It would be meaningless for the two brothers to be so polite anymore. After arranging everything, they and their family evacuated, leaving Zhang Luokeng behind. Zhang Luokeng sat next to his mother and looked at the pale old man. Zhang Luokeng held his mother's hand and shed tears. He has been wrong these years. "Mother, please wake up. Your son must be filial to you." End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 338. Chapter 338 Divorce Plan. Feng Gihua waited at home all night, but did not wait for Zhang Luokeng. "My heart is filled with anger. Zhang Luokeng is awesome now. This is because I plan to stay at my parents' house, so no one cares about me, and I can do whatever I want. The jar was broken, right?" Feng Gihua was preparing to go out to look for someone early the next morning. Zhang Luokeng must be in the hospital. Before I could go out, I happened to see Zhang Luokeng coming in. "You're back." Zhang Luokeng was surprised to see his daughter-in-law. This is the first time this daughter-in-law has come back on her own initiative. In the past, she would just go back to her parents' home after a quarrel. "There was never a time when I didn't go to the door to beg and apologize, and then someone would come back." Unexpectedly, he would come back by himself this time. He thought that his wife was just thinking about it. After all, it was his wife who was not responsible for telling this matter. Smiles all over the face. Feng Gihua said with a stern face, "I'm back, but I'm here to divorce you." Zhang Luokeng smiled and said, "Damn it, how old are these people, talking about divorce? Don't you think it's embarrassing? Besides, where are you going to live after divorce? Your mother and father are not here, you go back and you brother, they can look good on you." I thought Feng Gihua was joking. Still angry with myself. You have no control over where I live. Anyway, I told you that I wanted a divorce. Feng Gihua thought about it all night yesterday. What his son said was right. Yesterday during the day, I heard from my eldest son that even the eldest son went out to borrow foreign debts. Inside and outside here, the father and son borrowed 2,500 yuan, yes. This account is enough to cover the hospital's medical expenses. But if their family has to repay the 2,500 yuan, how can they repay it in less than 10 years? The more Feng Gihua thought about it, the angrier he became. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that what he said was right. If he didn't divorce Zhang Luokeng, he would have to pay back the money with him. If he gets divorced now, the debt will be Zhang Luokeng's own business, and he will take his second son out. The more than 1,000 yuan in the bank book in your pocket should be kept tight, and it can be used to subsidize the children in the future. Otherwise, how will the son get married in the future, and where will the children get money for school? Otherwise, Feng Gihua wouldn't be so determined to get a divorce. After all, he's so old, how could divorce be such a nice thing? It's not even embarrassing enough. Zhang Luokeng's face darkened. "My dear, are you determined to divorce me? Are you kidding me or just out of anger?" After being married for so many years, he still can't figure out who Feng Gihua is. When he said these words, he was very decisive. Zhang Luokeng didn't understand why it got to the point of divorce. It's okay if you don't want a divorce, you can take the 2,500 yuan back immediately and pay off the debt to the other person. Feng Gihua also knew that it was impossible. Zhang Luokeng had already given it to Zhang Lishi. How could Zhang Lishi give it to them? Can you spit out what you put into your mouth? You. Are you talking humanly? My mother lives in the hospital and I, as a son, should pay half of the surgery fee. She opens her mouth every time and asks me to ask my second son to get the money back. That's what people do. Something. Lao owes you something? Go out and ask on the street to see who can support you after hearing this. He still threatens me with this matter to get a divorce. Divorce is okay, okay. Then leave. Take out the bank book. The money was saved by both of us, not just you. Zhang Loken was also angry. Even though my daughter-in-law was not born to my mother, don't I know how my mother has treated me and my daughter-in-law in recent years? When I met him after I came back, I didn't even ask how the old man was doing now. If he opened his mouth, he would get money, and if he opened his mouth, he would get a divorce. Why do you really think of yourself as a bodhisattva and ask others to support you? Zhang Loken rarely had a hard time in his life. Feng Gihua looked at Zhang Loken in disbelief. This man usually did whatever he said, but now he was shouting at him. I beat her the day before yesterday, and my attitude is the same today. Okay, I can't live this life. Since you want to live with your mother, then you can live with it, divorce me immediately, and leave now. And you don't want a penny of the money in the bank book. I have worked hard with you for so many years without any credit, raising your children, taking care of your housework, and taking care of your mother. What's wrong? Isn't this little money enough to compensate for the loss of my youth? Feng Gihua is really messing up, and Zhang Loken also has a headache. Feng Gihua, you have really thought about it? We are already divorced at our age. What's the good thing? The second child hasn't gotten married yet, and the two children below are still in school, so you haven't thought about it. Divorce. What kind of impact does marriage have on the children? And what is the reason for your divorce? Do you have the dignity to tell it? Zhang Loken didn't understand why it was necessary to get divorced. What a big deal this was. Originally, the couple was just quarreling at home. Why should he still have a good life after this? Why can't he live well when he gets to his wife's place? Besides, it was only natural for him to treat his mother. Why can't you get over this hurdle? Feng Gihua sneered, you also know that there are 3 children in the family. Why didn't you know that they were there when you borrowed the money? Now you are smart and know how to use them as an excuse. Why am I going to be a coward in your family all my life? Now that it's here, you still want me to work as a cow and horse for your family to help pay back the money, right? I tell you, Zhang Loken, children can follow me. You can think whatever you want, the divorce is finalized anyway. Zhang Loken sighed, if you want a divorce because of borrowing money, that's fine. Just divorce. You take all the money in the bank book with you. You can't take away the child, he's from our Zhang family. Even if it's just those who suffer hardship are also my children, and I will support them myself. You can do whatever you want. If you don't want to go through hardships and repay the money with me, that's up to you. I won't drag you down. If the children are willing to follow you, they will naturally follow you. Well, they are not only your children, but also my children. Okay, don't talk nonsense, get your household registration book quickly. Go to the street to open a letter of introduction. I went through the divorce procedures today. I don't want to stay in this miserable home. You, a grown man, just borrowed a lot of debt and asked your wife to suffer along with you to repay the debt. You're such a coward. I'll follow you, that's enough. Feng Gihua was afraid of long nights and many dreams, and wanted to get divorced as soon as possible. As soon as there is a divorce here, Zhang Lishi will definitely get the news from his side. His eldest brother is forced to get a divorce by him, and he has no trouble holding the 2,500 yuan. If you don't send it back, you're not a human being. Based on what I know about my brother-in-law's character, he will definitely send the money back in a hurry. I hope they can reconcile and remarry when the time comes. The matter is settled, but Zhang Loken cannot help but be a good person here. Zhang Loken nodded, and without saying a word, he took his household registration book and went to the street with Feng Gihua. Divorce is a new thing at such an old age, and the director of the street originally wanted to persuade her. But seeing Feng Gihua's determination on his face, he had no choice but to go through the formalities for them. The two of them held the divorce certificate, and Zhang Loken also smiled bitterly. He was so old. How could this happen again? My mother is still lying in the hospital. Now her daughter-in-law is gone and the family is broken up. Feng Gihua took the divorce certificate and walked away triumphantly. Zhang Xiang just followed his mother, crying and shouting that he wanted to follow her. On the contrary, Zhang Zhija and Zhang Xiun, the remaining members of the family, said they would stay and follow Zhang Loken. The starting point of the 30th is limited to exemption. On the 30th and 31st, there will be an update of 4,000 words, and an additional update will be added on the 1st. You can also save up in the past few days and watch it together for free for a limited time. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 339. Chapter 339. It's not okay to lose my wife. Zhang Lishi was very happy when he saw my mother in the hospital, who had recovered a lot after she woke up. Her recovery was rapid. Even though it's only been a day, my mother is still in high spirits. For one meal, I can now eat a bowl of white porridge. Even doctors say that it is rare to see a critically ill patient recover so quickly. They were also surprised, but no matter how strange it was, this person was there for surgery and medicine in their hospital. It's the rescue they do. Even they themselves wondered what kind of medicine they used to make this patient recover like this. But in the end, everyone thought it was the old lady who had a good foundation. Although it looks like his life is in danger, in fact, after surviving that period of time, he will naturally recover very quickly. Zhang Xiaoxiao pursed his lips and smiled. Song Moding looked at his wife helplessly, and he had to be careful. As soon as the old lady looked up, she saw her granddaughter and grandson-in-law beside her. You all go back, I have a lot of people, and the whole family is here to guard you. Your father and mother are already tired enough, so I feel sorry for bringing you with me. Also, you two are on vacation. Is it almost over? Look, because of me, an old lady, you didn't even get a good rest here. If we leave, it will take more than a year. It's all me, the old immortal, who has dragged you down. The old lady also sighed. Her granddaughter must be back from leave in a few days. These days I have wasted time on myself, an old lady. Grandma has good news for you: we won't leave after we come back this time. Zhang Xiaoxiao told the old lady proudly. The old lady is dumbfounded and won't leave. Can you still leave? She had heard that those educated youths who did not want to leave after taking leave from the farm would send people from the street to their homes to forcibly drive them away. Grandma has some good news to tell you. I called back to the farm yesterday. The two of us took the college entrance examination and were admitted to our medical school in northern Beijing. We will report in March. So the farm has directly arranged various arrangements for us. We will go through the formalities and the educated youth who come back will bring it back for us. We don't have to go back at all, we will stay in Beijing from now on. Song Moding was so busy these days that he almost forgot about this matter. He only remembered to call Hieguo at the farm yesterday and found out that the admission notice had come out and that Hieguo had collected it for them and had saved it for them. Good. Hieguo bought train tickets for these 2 days. If there is no problem, They should arrive tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. In other words, it is certain that 12 of the 13 of them have been admitted to college, and most of them are college students. Although they are scattered all over the place, everyone has a bright future. After all, going to university involves work assignments. Especially that he and Zhang Xiaoxiao were both admitted to medical school in northern Beijing. Both of them have a medical foundation, and studying medicine is the only option for them. Everyone is happy now. After Zhang Lishi and Fan Qiuying heard this, they looked up. They had been busy with old lady affairs recently and had forgotten about it. At this moment, when I heard what my daughter and son-in-law said, I suddenly remembered that there was a period of time after they took the college entrance examination. The college entrance examination admission notice should have come out a long time ago, but I really forgot. Now that my daughter and son-in-law have passed the exam and returned to Beijing, they will stay with them from now on. This is a great joy. Suddenly, the ward was filled with laughter, and the old lady's face was filled with smiles because of the good news. When the doctors and nurses came in and heard the news, they congratulated them repeatedly. After all, it would be great to have a college student in the family, let alone 2 college students in their family at once. They are still a married couple. The old lady was discharged from the hospital after 1 week. In fact, she could be discharged from the hospital in 2 days. But the doctors and nurses were still worried. They checked her repeatedly to confirm that the old lady was fine, and then they allowed her to be discharged from the hospital. Zhang Lishi originally wanted to take the old lady back to his home. But Zhang Lokeng insisted on taking the old lady back. Zhang Lishi didn't want to refute his eldest brother's face. After all, his eldest brother quietly told him about the divorce. The eldest sister-in-law was really determined to get a divorce this time. Zhang Lishi did what Feng Gihua thought. When he heard about this, he even advised the eldest brother, otherwise he would give the 2,500 yuan to the eldest brother and pay off the foreign debt first. Reconcile with my sister-in-law. After all, the couple has lived a lifetime together, and it is not worth getting divorced because of this little thing. Zhang Lokeng firmly refused. He said that it was not easy for him to get married once in his life, he had children, and if he got divorced, he would get divorced. After getting divorced, I can live a more comfortable life with my children and my wife. Having been manipulated by my wife all my life, now I can finally take charge of my own affairs. Zhang Lishi had no choice but to ask his son to drive his mother to his eldest brother's house. I sent a lot of food by the way. As for the money, Zhang Lokeng was very determined not to ask for it, and Zhang Lishi had no choice. Feng Gihua probably never thought that his own man would turn away the money. Her dream of a smooth remarriage simply came to nothing. Send the old lady home. Zhang Xiaoxiao, Song Modingke, and Hieguo made an appointment to meet. The main reason is that Hieguo came back a long time ago, but the 2 of them were busy with hospital affairs and had no time to see Hieguo. I just made an appointment with Hieguo in the past 2 days and plan to get my admission letter back. After all, this is a major matter that will affect them in the future. Don't trust it in anyone's hands. Seeing Hieguo and Jiashu, Zhang Xiaoxiao hugged Jiashu warmly. I've been so busy lately that I forgot about you. Where do you live now? Why don't you come to my house? I have room. Live. Jiashu smiled shyly. No. I'm living in Brother He's house now. Brother He and his family have an old house. Although it only has 1.5 rooms, it's enough for me to live alone. I want to pay Brother He rent, but he doesn't want it. But the school is about to start soon. We will start school after the Chinese New Year. Then we will live on campus and don't move around. Zhang Xiaoxiao was happy. Brother He, you haven't decided on your daughter-in-law yet. You 2 have been flirting with each other for a long time. Why don't you marry this daughter-in-law quickly? I can tell you that after entering college, there will be people chasing her around. Boy. When the time comes, Your wife runs away, don't blame me for not reminding you. Jia Shu punched Zhang Xiaoxiao and said, you girl, we haven't seen each other for such a long time. If you don't say something nice, you'll say something like this when we meet. It's fun to make fun of the two of us. Hyeguo chuckled and said, you're right in the novel, I have the same idea. Jia Shu, let's just get married. It will also ease my mind. Otherwise, if I go to university and my wife will not be able to get into school, then what's the point? How disturbing. My dad even asked me that day if this was my future daughter-in-law. If so, let us complete the procedures quickly. Jia Shu lowered her head shyly. If you don't speak, you are acquiescing. Brother He, hurry up and get ready to get married. Last time we got married, why did you make so much noise? Let's see how we deal with you this time. Zhang Xiaoxiao made a fuss. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 340. Chapter 340 Song's mother arrives. Fang Xiaowai will get married in 3 days. I feel a little excited. He is finally getting married. Once he marries into the Song family, everything will be fine for him. She did not marry into the Song family in her previous life. In her previous life, she just married a factory director. In her last life, because she didn't actively fight for it, the Song family didn't like her, although with Zhang Xiaoxiao's intervention, she didn't have to go to the countryside to become an educated youth. However, others didn't know the hardships she endured for her job and her own future. But she didn't need to work hard in this life, and she still took a different path. In this life, she fell in love with the Song family and married into the Song family. I didn't see that although I haven't graduated from the medical school yet, I have already been admitted to the hospital. My mother-in-law also told me that when I graduate from health school and go to the hospital, I can become a head nurse in the first half of the year. He also asked her to study more and improve in private. In the future, she can be transferred to the best hospital in the city for further study. At that time, maybe she can be transferred to the health bureau. In that case, Fang Xiaowai will have a smooth career in office. Even if my mother-in-law is not doing it for her daughter-in-law, she will do it for her own son. Compared to her previous life, she, Fang Xiaowai, had a smooth sailing. Think about how they will get married in a grand manner in 3 days. Not only has the old lady prepared a new house and all the things for them, but even her parents' family has also prepared so many things. Fang Xiaowai has already informed many little sisters. Many people were envious of the dowry prepared by her parents-in-law, including her own family. Fang Xiaowai was a little puzzled. They were getting married in 3 days, but why didn't the old lady say anything? Their new house has not been tidied up. Because my mother-in-law knew that the old lady was tidying up the new house, the house was not painted. But if the old lady doesn't say anything now, then they won't be able to say anything themselves. Fang Xiaowai was a little uneasy. Mother Song looked at this prospective daughter-in-law. Apart from being a bit petty, she was actually pretty good. Let's go to the old lady to ask about the situation today. The matter of the new house must be decided now. Otherwise, what will you do as a couple then? The old lady is also true. Everything is ready for the new house. She won't forget about it. At that time, she heard Fang Xiaowai say that her mother-in-law had prepared a new house for her son and also prepared furniture, and she was also happy. She has been married into the Song family for so many years. In fact, he did not like the old lady. The old lady's attitude toward herself and her son was average. His own son's love has never been greater than that of that scoundrel. I didn't expect that the old lady would spend so much time on her marriage this time. She thought that the old lady was probably trying to get away with it. After all, that scoundrel had gone to the countryside to become an educated youth. If he wanted to return to the city, he would never come back if she was on top of him. The old lady probably thought that she would have to rely on them when she got old, so she thought so. Fang Ziyi obediently followed Mother Song out. At this time, the mother-in-law must maintain a good relationship. The father-in-law has real power, and he listens to the mother-in-law, and the mother-in-law herself is not bad at all. I heard that there is a second brother in my family, but I have never seen him in person. My parents-in-law never mentioned it. Even when asked about her husband, she was vague and vague. He was a very mysterious person. Needless to say, the eldest sister-in-law was ignored at all. It's not like he has the same father and mother, I thought she didn't know. My mother-in-law was a little and stole her sister's man, which made her very angry. She naturally understood that when this kind of issue rose to a moral level, her mother-in-law was most afraid of others talking about this past incident. There is a car at home. Sitting in the back seat, Mother Song glanced at Fang Ziyi. Ziyi, Mom heard that your mother's family has prepared a dowry for you. It's a house. Either she is coveting her daughter-in-law's dowry, or she thinks that if it is true, she will have face in front of her old friends. Mom, my parents felt a little guilty for treating me over the years and wanted to make up for it, so they prepared a small yard. It's not as good as the house Grandma prepared. Fang Ziyi felt quite proud when she talked about this. My biological mother and father have given me a long face. Mother Song nodded. Although this person's daughter-in-law was not satisfactory, she was considered to be from her natal family and was still reliable. Of course, this natal family was not Yehua. I used to think that Yehua was Mr. Fang's daughter-in-law, and she had a different background. But now that I have met Yehua several times, Mother Song feels that Yehua is very different from the legend. It is gratifying that Fang Ziyi now has a reliable natal family that does not cause trouble. When you have time, ask your parents to have a meal with me. We have to meet each other for a family reunion. Although you are still a member of the Fang family, you are your biological parents after all. If we can help, we will still help. Fang Ziyi nodded hurriedly. Okay, Mom, I'll take some time to ask them to come over. The car arrived at the old lady's two-story courtyard. The old lady lives in a high-ranking residence. This house was left by the old lady's ancestors. Because of the old man's protection, no one dared to touch the old lady during exercise. In addition, the old lady is now a famous expert in the country, and her salary has been rising even more. This is a status symbol. Mother Song felt angry when she saw this. The old lady would rather the couple live alone than be with their son. This is not a joke for outsiders to see the couple. But the temper of the old lady and the old man has not changed over the years. I really don't know what I think. Mother Song calmed down. Fortunately, the old lady is not too confused. She knows that she still has to rely on her family, Song Mohuan, and it is not too late to understand. Two men knocked on the door. Auntie came to open the door. When I saw Song's mother, I felt a little embarrassed. The old lady said she couldn't see anyone. Song Mu paused. What does this mean? Grandma, we're late, don't be angry, something happened at home. I'm angry, very angry. You've been here in Beijing for 10 days, and you've just come to see me now. My old lady is very angry. The voice of an old lady came from the living room, as well as the voice of a bright and clear girl. Mother of Song asked in a friendly manner, Old lady, do you have a guest? Auntie nodded, then shook her head, yes. Alas, no. Song's mother is so angry, what do you say? It is or is not. Auntie, who is it? Auntie glanced at the living room. She couldn't afford to offend these people. After all, they were a family. It was Mo Ting who came back with his wife. No one in the family knew about the relationship between Mother Song and her stepson. The aunt thought that as soon as she told her, Mother Song would recognize each other and leave. Who would have known that after saying this, Mother Song pushed Auntie away and walked in. I don't even bother to change my shoes. Wearing leather shoes, I entered the living room and suddenly stood on the carpet. I saw a girl sitting next to the old lady in the living room, and Song Moding was sitting on the other side of the old lady. The old lady was holding the girl there and pouting. End of this chapter.